Hello, Facebook, YouTube. On my way home today. It's been a while since I put out a video. Thought I'd just go ahead and put out a couple of my thoughts on how well this is going to go. I got quite a few thoughts on my mind. The latest one, that real sensitive subject. I don't know how some of you's going to take it, and personally, it really don't matter. These are my thoughts, not yours. So if you don't like what I'm saying, just turn it off. Don't hold my thoughts against me. That's what made this country so great. There's difference in opinions, and people still come together afterwards, overcoming each other's faults in the name of love. I got to thinking about this big thing that Joe Biden says that he's going to be fighting, and that's that systemic racism. And I want to tell you a story about a young man who actually started out as a boy. When they grew up back in the late 60s, early 70s, they was born into a poor family. Didn't really have much. But I remember back then the YMCA was real big, and the boys clubs was real big. And I remember one evening, me and my older brother, we was able to jump on a bus that picked us up at a certain point. After we was done at the boys club, it would drop us off at that same certain point. When we went to the boys club and it was daytime, everything seemed to go pretty good. It seemed kind of funny that me and my brother was about the only two white kids on this bus. But on the way home, when things got dark, that's when it all came to play. That's when the rocks started flying. That's when the punches were thrown. All because they hated the two white kids that was on this bus. They had pebbles in their hands and throwing them at us. They had all kinds of stuff. And I remember my older brother, because I was only probably about 5 or 6 years old. I remember him telling me, keep your head down and keep your hands over covering your face. Don't let them hit you in the face. Just hold on. It'll all be over soon. We'll be at our destination, and everything's going to be all right. Didn't really think much about it at the time. Well, I had and grew up, and I watched my stepdad working 2 and 3 part-time jobs because he couldn't get no help. Yeah, we had a little bit of food stamps, but it seemed like we wasn't getting as much as others. Grew up in a small town. Wasn't very many people in this small town. This is after we moved out of the big town that the people didn't like us because we were white. And I watched my dad working 2 and 3 part-time jobs just to put food on the table because he couldn't hardly get help, but just a little bit of food stamps from the government while everybody else is getting all kinds of stuff. I remember Mom would have to go down to the free store. You know, that's how poor we was. But I remember my stepdad would work these jobs and hold on until he got called up at the Ford factory. And he'd work a little bit of time, they'd lay him off again. Work a little bit of time, they'd lay him off again. Very rarely getting any kind of help. But he would hold on with these part-time jobs, these 2 or 3 part-time jobs. I seen him leave one, come home and eat, and go right back to a different job. Pumping gas, working at a grocery store, it didn't matter. It was putting food on the table for us kids. So now I'm growing up, I'm getting my work career going, and I'm starting to get summertime, part-time jobs. Really nothing else. There wasn't a whole lot going on, so I wasn't getting no help. There wasn't nobody giving me anything for free. I had to get out and work for it. So what do? I joined the military. I get a little bit of training, come out, get me a halfway decent job. After I got out, this man comes up and tells me, he says, "Hey, would you like to be a union apprentice electrician?" They're starting off. This was back in the middle 80s. They're starting them off at like $19 an hour. So I was like, yeah, I'll do that. So I make me a phone call and say, hey, I'd like to set this up. What do I got to do? They started asking me questions, and they said, well, you can't apply. I'm like, what do you mean I can't apply? They said, because you're a white male. They said if you was a white female and pregnant, you could apply. You could have this job. We would hand you this job. But because you're a white male, you cannot have this job. So I'm like, wow, here I am. I'm out of basic and AIT. I'm looking for a job. Finally, I find me a job. I'm making $3.50 an hour. I'm hauling building materials and packing them up flights of stairs and hauling drywall and fire-rated ceiling tile and stuff. And finally, because of my military training, I finally get on to a big trucking company. The trucking company was great. One of the greatest companies that I'd ever seen. They rewarded you for your hard work, and it was an employee-centered trucking company that the employees were just, it was an awesome company to work for. I loved it. You worked hard, you were rewarded for it. But I'm in there, I'm classified as part-time. Me and another guy was hired after me. By about 6 weeks after me, we both had the same qualifications. I get called in the office one day by the shop manager, and the shop manager says, hey, I know that you're in line. I know you're in line to be moved up into the trailer shop, but I'm going to have to hold off on you until you get to the next one. He said, because we got this program that we have to have so many minorities. And I'm like, well, what do you mean? He said, well, I'm going to have to move this other guy up into the trailer shop before you. And for probably about 4 months, he made about $3.54 more on the hour than I did, because I was a white male. He was a black male. Now, I don't blame them children that was on that bus for how they acted, because they acted like that because of how they were taught. I don't blame that company, and I don't blame the one that they moved up in front of me because of the color of his skin. I do not blame him at all. That was a governmental program that the companies had to abide by. He had nothing to do with it. He was just as qualified as I was. But if you went by seniority, I should have went up, then he should have went up. But because I was a white male, I was held back. And I see all these people, I see all these Democrats, and it's mostly Democrats, mostly liberals, mostly socialists, who actually turn around and just claim all this racist stuff, and how white people are privileged and this, that, and the other. And You know who's privileged? It's not the white people, and it's not even the black people. Because the black people are being oppressed by the same ones that are oppressing us. And that's by the government. They think that they are fighters for the little man. Well, let me tell you something. The black man is not a little man. The Mexican is not a little man. We are all human beings. We should all get treated the same. If I've had a little bit more training than somebody has, yeah, I deserve to get hired first. And if they hire me because of the color of my skin over top of a black man, then that black man should have the right to sue that company. If they hired a black man over top of me because of his skin color, I should have the right to sue that company. We should have equal rights. Ain't this one it's all about is equal rights. We're talking about equality here. Equal. The same across the board. And if it's the same across the board, then ain't the law against discrimination making a level playing field? So why do we have all these other laws on the books? Why do we have all these other programs on the books? If you work, you'll be rewarded. If you have schooling, you'll be rewarded. That's how it is. That's how it should be. That's a free nation. That's how it should be, people. But here we want to say that I have white privilege. I'm on my way home from work. I'm going to make my $600 this week. Hold on a second. While everybody else is sitting at home on this unemployment, getting $600 a week. Who's privileged? Here we go again. Back at the government. I'm telling you right now, we need to get rid of some of our government. And our government is not going to do it. It's going to take each and every one of us. It's going to take every black man, every black woman. It's going to take every white man, every white woman. It's going to take all the Mexicans. It's going to take, you know what? It's going to take Americans, no matter what your skin color is. It's going to take Americans to make this country a better country. We got to stop looking at the skin color and see where it's all coming from. And it's all coming from hate. It's not hate from the other skin colors. It's because the one thing that I learned when I was a supervisor is the one that would come into my office saying, hey, did you see what so-and-so done? Hey, so-and-so's doing this. Hey, so-and-so's doing this. And they're constantly in my office telling me, hey, did you see what so-and-so done? Hey, so-and-so's doing this. Did you see what first shift? Did you see what second shift? Did you see what third shift? The ones that are constantly in my office pecking on everybody else. I learned real quick that's who I need to watch. Because all they're trying to do is get their eyes off of them so that they continue to be what they are. I learned that real quick, like, people. And it's like, we as Americans, black, white, yellow, red, I don't care what color you are. We as Americans need to realize this, and we need to squash these hate mongers like Al Sharpton, like Jesse Jackson, like Joe Biden, and all these others that are coming up talking about all this racist stuff. You know what makes a person racist? Is when somebody sows a seed of hate into your heart. When somebody sows hate enough that they'll go through anything to get that person gone. Oh, hold on a second. That's just like what they just did to Donald Trump. I never seen the first person vote for what Joe Biden has done. Nobody has voted for Joe Biden for this presidency, and I hope I'm wrong. But you're going to have to show me what he has done that makes you vote for him. He ain't done nothing except win against Donald Trump, who they sowed the hate into your heart. And that's where the racism comes in at. Donald Trump wasn't no racist. You can say he is all you want. But he's done more for the black community than what Joe Biden's ever thought about doing. He's done more for the black community than what Obama's ever done. Or George W. Bush. Or Bill Clinton. Or any of them for that fact. Why? Because he's not in politics. If you're not in politics, you don't have to try to sow hate out there so that, oh, you see what they did? You need me back in office. And, oh, I'll spend 47 years and I'll fix this country after 47 years and I'm half out of my mind. You know what other countries are saying about us right now? They're scratching their heads wondering what in the world these people do. It's all because they want to scream racism. Oh, he's a womanizer. Oh, we got audio. Oh, you hear all kinds of audio, all kinds of audio, all kinds of audio. Then two people come out of a bus, him and somebody else. That did not mean that it was them. I don't know if it was. We've all talked like that before. Come on. We got to get over this. We got to get around this. It's not racism until the seed of hate has been sown into your heart. If your parents sowed the seed of hate into your heart, it's shame on your parents. If my parents sowed a seed of hate in my heart against a black man, against the Indian, against the China, against a Japanese person, a Korean person, I don't care what you are. If they sowed a seed of hate in my heart, shame on them. But mine never did it. You know what mine did? Mine sowed a seed of love. Take care of people. That's what we're supposed to do. And until you can come up and get rid of that hate out of your heart, then you're a racist. God made one race and one race only, and that's the human race. I growed up a poor white boy who had plenty of troubles, and my mom and dad taught me to love anyways. It's nobody's fault but mine. And it's only going to be me that brings me up and out of it. Am I a man? Yes, I'm a man. And I brought myself up out of this the day that I went down on my knees and said, Lord, I give it all to you. And that's going to be the only way that you can get hatred out of your heart. That's going to be the only way that you can get hatred out of your heart, is to come to the knowledge and the saving grace of the one that loved you enough. Black, white, red, yellow, pink, I don't care what color you are. There's only one that loved you enough to die for you. Took away the sins of the world. And that's the only true way that you're going to get past this, is to accept the one that died for all. Not just the Jewish people. Well, to the Jew first, and then the Greek, yeah. But he died for the sins of the whole world. If you're a racist and you sow the seed of hate in your heart, I beg you today, get rid of it. Get that stony heart out of there and get you a fleshly heart that you can sow love for your neighbor. That you can sow love. It don't matter who it is. You can love them. If there wasn't love in this world, where would you be today? I'm telling you today, the only true way to get that racism gone, the only true way to get that hatred gone, is by the love of Jesus Christ, the one that died on a cross with you and me on his mind, so that we can get out of this and that we can love one another. So if you haven't accepted him today, now would be a good time. Today could be your day of salvation. Accept him as your Savior today. I love you no matter what color you are. I love you no matter if you're a sinner. I love you whether you're a saint. And that's just how it is. That's the love of God that he has put in my heart. I beg you to come to him today.